Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Danielle, aka Stitchery here on YouTube, and today is another color with me WIP and chat. This is Johanna Basford's World of Flowers, and I'm aiming to just go in order and do every page. I don't know. It will take me a really long time, but I colored a lot last night after I did the video. So I'm off work today, so that's why I decided to do another video. But yeah, I did all of this last night. I've been rewatching Grey's Anatomy on Netflix, but I am going to be watching Sex and the City all over again because that is now on Netflix. Very excited about that. Love that show. It is one of my favorite shows ever. Also, The Sopranos. They were on the same time on HBO, and those shows were so popular when they were on. I was married to my first husband when those shows were originally on. Okay, so with coloring this one, so I'm going to be now doing this flower, and this flower is similar. You know, when I look, how I figure out how to color it is I try to look at the lines. I might do something different with these leaves and not do shading. I might just color them striped with the 3 different colors that I have for the leaves. Because, you know, that's the great thing about coloring is it's your own interpretation. You can do what you want. And so essentially I'm coloring this entire page in 6 colors, but I'm also using for some accents one of my Jelly Roll glitter pens. Gel pens. I did some in here. I don't know if you can see it. I did the center of these flowers, the little stems of these. I am waiting for my white pens to come in from Joann's. That's probably going to be a while. But I thought I would just come on here and color this a little bit and chat with you guys about yesterday and today and, you know, me starting another cross-stitch project, which, yes, just wait. So, yesterday was Easter. And Bill worked a full 12-hour shift. So I went to visit my mom and stepdad and my sister. I went over there at 1 o'clock yesterday. I had to be at my dad's at 3. So now, I had went to the grocery store on Friday and I forgot laundry detergent. So and I'm forgetting it's Easter and that some things are going to be closed, right? So I said to myself, well, I'll just leave a couple minutes early and stop at the store on the way to my mom's because I ride right by a grocery store on the way to her house. Well, I go to pull into the grocery store and I notice the parking lot's completely empty, so they weren't open. So I immediately put my blinker back on to get back on the road. And I said, okay, where am I stopping? There was a CVS right next to the grocery store, but they didn't look like they were open either. There was a Dollar General right down the road. I said, okay, I'm going to pull in there because I saw people coming out, so they were open. I don't go to this Dollar General very often. I mean, I hardly ever go to that store. So I go in. Now, I also decided to get Advil PM. So, you know, in Maryland now, there is a law that there's no plastic bags anymore. So you are bringing your own bags or you are paying, I want to say it's 10 cents. It's something. You have to pay for a paper bag if you want a paper bag. And so I keep bags in my car, so I never pay. But when I'm only getting 2 things, I was like, I can just hold them in my hand. So not a big deal there. So I go up to get in line and I hear the cashier talking to whoever she's checking out. And the cashier looks to me, and I'm always so bad at guessing people's ages. The cashier looks to me like she is in her 70s. And she is talking to whoever she is checking out and talking about how lazy her nephew is that lives with her. He doesn't clean his room. She should get his allowance. And I'm thinking, well, this guy must be a teenager, right? Who knows? I don't know. She's going on and on about just how he doesn't do anything, on and on and on. So there is so that person is being checked out, and then there is a person in front of me. So that person leaves. They check out. That person leaves, and the person in front of me had to use the restroom. And at that Dollar General, you have to get a key from them to unlock the restroom. So he says, well, let this lady go, while I go to the restroom. Okay, cool. So I put my stuff down. The cashier continues her story like she had been telling me the story all along. She just didn't even take a breath, just kept going on and on. And it hit me because I don't know what it is, but I've become much more aware of people. I don't even know if that's the right way to say it, but this woman needed to be heard. She probably didn't have anybody to talk to at home. She needed to be heard about things going on. And it hit me when I got in the car because I let her talk and I let her go even after I was done paying. And I said, I'm so sorry that's happening. I didn't really know what to say. And I said, well, I hope you have a good rest of your day. And then she was also telling me, so while I was checking out, this voice comes over the loudspeaker and says, security is monitoring the registers or something like that. And I must have had an odd look on my face because I had never experienced that. And she said, oh yeah, they announced that all day long. She said, we have had so much theft in this store with the self-checkout. So now if you want to do self-checkout, you have to get a code from the cashier or something, she said. They only had one register open and then they had one self-checkout. And I was like, oh, I said, wow. Okay. So she was telling me about that. I mean, she talked for quite a bit, but like I said, it hit me when I got in the car. That is really all anybody wants to be, is heard. You want to be heard and you want to feel valid, right? You want to be validated. And it costs nothing to be kind, right? And normally, and this shows me how I guess I'm growing as a person. Normally things like that would irritate me because when I go in the grocery store, I don't want to chat when you're ringing my stuff up. Not normally. I'm not a chatter. I just want to get in and out of the store. But I felt for this woman. And I have just been hyper aware of people here lately. Everyone's struggling. Nobody's got it figured out. Everyone is struggling with something. So I went to my mom's and that was a good visit. I enjoyed sitting there. We had a good little chat for 2 hours. I was there for 2 hours. Saw Charlize, so I was able to chat with her for a little bit. And then I went to my dad's. So I got to my dad's at 3. And that was a good visit too. We ate a little bit after 3, and that was my first meal of the day. Now, I will admit, I got a little bit of a lecture from my dad and my stepmom about intermittent fasting and all that, because I'm thinking they don't completely agree with it because they think I'm starving myself and all this stuff. And I was like, look, I appreciate your concern. I'm like, but I've got it. I said, I wouldn't let myself get sick or or be unhealthy. That's not, it's not like I'm starving myself and I'm hungry where I'm starving, and not feeling like that at all. And they think my weight loss goal is too lofty, like because I'm older, that I'm going to look really old if I lose the weight that I want to lose. And I just said, you know what? We'll see. We'll see. I mean, all I can do is just gauge it as I go along. I mean, so I lost a pound this week, and which put me in the 170s. That was very exciting. So I'm 179. That is still way too heavy for my body height and frame. I should weigh, if you pay attention to the charts and stuff, I should weigh about 130. And I remember when I weighed that, I felt pretty good at that weight. Now, the last time I weighed that, I was 28 years old. So that's 20 years ago, 22 years ago, just about. But you know what I realized too? So when I got in the car, I was there about almost 3 hours, because I knew Bill was getting off at 6 o'clock and he would be home. And I brought him a plate. And, you know, my dad was so gracious. Because of me eating the way that I'm eating, I told him, I said, do you mind? There's a grocery store in our area that has like the best salads, like potato salad, chicken salad, things like that. I said, do you mind getting me chicken salad? Because I don't really like ham, and that's what they have on Easter. And I said, I'll just make a sandwich with that, and that's what I'll have. And he did. He got it. And he's like, please take the rest of it home. So now I have lunch for like 2 days. So that's awesome. But all I ate over there, I had the chicken. I had half of a chicken salad sandwich. I didn't even have the whole sandwich. I had 3 Ritz crackers with some port wine cheese. And I had, she made string beans and like potatoes and carrots. So I had 3 little potatoes and a bunch of string beans. And I was full. Like, I get full from stuff like that now. And, okay, I got to think how I'm going to color this. I think I want to do the stripes. Let's see how that's going to go. But when I came home, so we ate, like I said, a little bit after 3 o'clock. Bill didn't get home until 6:30-ish, so he was sitting down to eat something at like 6:45. And I actually had a couple low-carb crackers with some cheese. I actually ate something else. I was a little hungry. And then that was the last thing that I ate. I think everybody has to do, you know, what they think is right for them. And, you know, my mom, my stepmom, they've all consistently been trying to lose weight, you know, forever. So, but yeah, like I'm glad for the concern, but you don't have to be concerned. Like, I wouldn't let myself get, you know, too terribly, I wouldn't let myself get like sick or anything like that. So, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I just realized it. So I'm going to color these couple with the medium color. And then I'm going to color the top ones with the lightest color. So it will kind of have an ombre look anyway, just by the natural progression. But it won't be like I've done the shading in the other ones. And let me just put another layer here. Okay, so that was Easter. And then, so I'm off work today. And I had an appointment at 8 o'clock to get a crown on the tooth that I had a root canal on in December. Now, I've had a bunch of dental work over my life because I wasn't always completely diligent about taking proper care of my teeth, and so that's on me. I take really good care of my teeth now, and I have for probably the last 20 some years. I mean, but I wish I would have when I was a kid. My mom never really took us to the dentist. I can remember going a handful of times, and I don't know why. I don't really fault her for that. I didn't really start going to the dentist again until I was 18 and could make my own decisions about, my medical care and things like that. So by that time, some things had been done, and I ruined a bunch of my teeth from grinding my teeth and not realizing I should have worn a night guard. I've worn a night guard for like the last 30 years. And most people don't know this, my 2 back teeth are gold. Yes, ma'am, I have gold teeth in my mouth. And you can't see them unless I laugh really loud and I really open my mouth wide. Because what was happening was I got a crown. I cracked those teeth, got a crown on it, and I cracked them again. And he said, this was when I lived in Hagerstown, so I had a dentist there. He said, if you need to get gold teeth because you won't crack them. Okay. And at that time, each of those teeth were $500. I can't even imagine what that costs now, because this was back in 2003 or 4. So we're looking at 20 years ago. And so yeah, I have since then taken care of my teeth, used the water pick, all that stuff. And I also am careful of what I eat and drink, because acidic things like my lovely lemonade can be very damaging to your teeth as far as the enamel. So yeah, okay, so all of that to say, I went in there this morning. Now, it was pouring down rain when I left the house, and I don't really pay attention to the weather, I'm going to be honest. So I had no idea that it was supposed to be pouring down rain. So I pull up. Now, I'm their first appointment, 8:00 in the morning. I pulled up at I want to say it was 7:51 or something. And I'm like, okay, I see lights on. I see somebody in there behind the desk. I said, so I'm going to just go in. Well, the door was locked. And I saw the person was on the phone, but she held up her finger, and then she came over and she unlocked the door. And so she was talking to her husband or friend or somebody. So she was like, oh, are you Miss Jones? I'll check you in, blah, 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 blah. Well, I heard her on the phone, and it sounded like she was having a day. She was already having a day. And then the office manager comes in, and she's like, good morning. And I said, good morning. And then the dentist comes in, and he is just frazzled because a water bottle had exploded or spilled all over him in his car. So he was wet. His whole pants were wet. And his whole bag was wet. It was just a nightmare. And I thought, oh, these poor people. These people are just having a day. And then the office manager, too, was like, I've been up. I've had a headache. And so they're talking while I'm waiting to be brought back. And they were like, we were going to call out today. And I well, that would have been interesting, having both of you call out. Who would have worked today, right? And the tech, she forgot today still was no school, because today is the last day of spring break for the kids in our area. So she had to bring her son with her to work, which wasn't a problem. He must be old enough that he just sits in the back and does his schoolwork. And the dentist didn't mind. So, but she was like, yeah, I just completely forgot about it. And so they call me back. Now, they said, did they go over a treatment plan with you to let you know how much your out of pocket's going to be? And I said, no. Now, remember, I had expected this crown to cost me about $1,000 because dental work, crazy pants money. So I had already warned Bill, and that's a chunk of money. I mean, we have been paying some money out here on dental bills and things like that here recently. It's been, yeah. So she says, and I think I'm going to do the stem of this one too, since it's the exact same. She says, well, it looks like your portion is $177. And I thought, all right, no problem. Now I fully expect to have to pay something else because all they're seeing is like an estimate. When the claim is actually run through, there will probably be another portion. I would be shocked if that was all that I had to pay. Because when I had my scaling done, they told me, well, you don't owe anything right now, but I had to wind up paying $244. And then I had to pay $205 when I went last week for the scaling. So I'm hoping I don't owe anything else for that, because that would be on par. But I fully expect, and I told Bill that on the phone, I'm like, I fully expect to owe something else. So my dentist is kind of a jokester. Like, he likes to joke around. And when he came in, I said, well, it sounds like you've been having a day already. I'm really sorry about that. And he said, oh, were you looking forward to this appointment? I said, no. And they like busted out laughing. I said, I was just here last Monday. And yeah, no, I was not looking forward to this appointment, because when I have an appointment like that, I don't sleep well the night before. Just because I'm, anxious, I have to get up earlier than I normally would. And so he numbs me, which, I don't know what it is. I have forgotten how horrible getting needles, but I want to be numbed. You want to be numbed for a crown because they are filing away your tooth. And, yeah, no, I was like, I don't want to feel a thing. So he did that. And then, I mean, it was a pretty straightforward procedure. And then the tech is actually the one that finishes it up, because they give you a temporary. So I have a temporary crown on, and because they make, they send it your impression, they take an impression, they send it away to a lab, and then I have to come back on May 6th in a month to get the permanent one. So I have to be very careful eating on that side. I will probably try to avoid eating at all on that side, because you can pop that right off. And don't want to do that. So, but yeah, like I said, the tooth had been bothering me. I mean, I got the root canal, but it was very, it was still somewhat sensitive. And I fully expect it to be sensitive with the crown, but I'm hoping that getting the crown, because, okay, that's what I was going to say. When you get a root canal on your tooth, for those of you that don't know, they drill out the canals in your tooth. They keep the structure of your tooth, but that structure then is weakened because of them drilling the inside of your tooth out. So most of the time, they always advise you to get a crown to protect the integrity of your teeth, because I feel like if you don't get a crown, you have a higher chance of cracking that tooth than you would getting a crown. And every time I've had a root canal, I have always gotten a crown. Bill was like, I have so many root canals in my mouth and I don't have crowns. And I'm like, well, for someone like me that grinds their teeth, I'm getting a crown. I'm getting it. I'm like, it costs what it costs. I mean, it is what it is. And he was like, okay. I mean, he wasn't going to argue with me. So did that. I was out of there by 5 after 9, which wasn't bad, because I probably wasn't taken back until like 10 after. 8. My appointment was at 8 o'clock. So I decided on the way home, I said, I know I'm going to do a video. I did a little bit of light cleaning around the house. I'm going to do some more while this video is processing. Like, I lit candles and I've put away the laundry, but I'm probably going to clean bathrooms, vacuum, that kind of stuff today. And I will probably read some. And I might even do some diamond painting later. I haven't diamond painted in a while, so I might do more of some of that. I've been coloring at night in bed while I've been rewatching Grey's Anatomy. So let's talk about some cross stitch, because next week already, it's already here, I go to Ocean City for the Spring Tangles Retreat. Very exciting. You know, I haven't seen these people since December when we had the winter retreat. So it's always a good time. I always enjoy the company of these ladies. I look forward to it very much. And it will be good to get away for 3 days, because I'm going to go on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, come home Sunday. So yeah, that's next week already. And remember, I had toyed with the idea of taking coloring, because I lost my stitchy bug or my zeal for stitching, and I haven't stitched on anything. It's probably been a month. And then today, I was on the way home, and I got home and I was looking at stuff. I was looking at some Facebook groups, and I'm like, you know what? I feel like I need to go back to the beginning. I need to go back to the beginning of when I first started stitching. And if you have followed my channel for any length of time, I've probably told like my, stitching career. A friend of mine taught me to cross stitch when I was in 7th grade. I did little bitty projects, kits that we could buy at the local drugstore, because there was no Michaels or AC Moore. We did have a Ben Franklin, but, I would have had to have my mom take me there, and, that wasn't happening. So I just did little kits that I could buy with my allowance at the local department store that I could walk to. Well, fast forward to in college, my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary came about, and I decided I wanted to stitch them a wedding sampler. So I bought a kit that had Ada. Now, mind you, when I was in college, I went to school full-time, and I worked full-time because I paid for my own college. My grandfather helped me with the cost of my books, but the tuition I paid myself, not to mention, car insurance, all that stuff too. So I worked full-time and I went to school full-time. So I barely had a minute to breathe between all of that. So it took me probably almost 3, 4, 5 months to do this small wedding sampler for my grandparents. And I framed it myself. Now, I know how to properly frame stuff now. I had no clue then. I literally bought like a frame. It fit in an 8x10 frame. I literally bought this frame, at like the drugstore, and just plopped it in there. There was no stretching or lacing or pinning or none of that. And they kept it all those years. When we cleaned out their house when my grandfather passed, I know I've showed it on the channel. I reframed it. Luckily, it was still intact. Yeah, I reframed that piece. So that's hanging on our wall right now. But I just did little bitty stitching here and there. And then when I got married to my first husband, wait a minute, I got to think about how I'm going to color these flowers. When I got married to my first husband, I decided I wanted to get back into crafting. I needed something to do besides reading. And so I got back into cross stitch a little bit. I subscribed to Just Cross Stitch. I was doing some little patterns out of those magazines. Nothing like giant, not yet. Well, my husband and I were married for 4 years and we divorced. So when I separated from him and I moved back in with my mom for 6 months, let me tell you, that's not an easy thing at 28, moving back in with your mother after you've been out of the house for 6 years. But I had no money, and I didn't have a choice. I didn't know where I was going to go. So, and I told her, I'm like, this is temporary. I'm going to find an apartment. And I did. But anyway, I really needed something to do besides working when I moved in with her. And there was actually a cross stitch store, believe it or not, in our area, like right down the street. And I had never been to it. So I went there and I fell in love with the Mirabilias. So my first project ever that was giant was Fairy Moon. And let me tell you, that was a huge undertaking. I mean, if you know what that project looks like, it's giant. Giant, giant, giant. So I was working on that on a Q-snap. I had bought all the supplies at this cross-stitch store and I enjoyed it. And I was intimidated by beading. I didn't really know how to bead yet, so I subbed out all of the beads in Fairy Moon with Petite Treasure braid. My dad has this piece hanging in his house because when I finished it, he bought it from me. It's gorgeous. I will get that back at someday. But it is a stunning piece. It turned out so good for my first ever, like, really big project. And then I was hooked. Like, Mirabilias were it. It was the only thing that I stitched for many, many years. And then I wound up moving to Hagerstown. And that's when I bought my first Stitch Mate. And I had to save for that. I mean, that was a $400 stitching stand. My rent was $485. So that tells you, right? And then I wound up stitching Celtic Spring by Mirabilia and just fell in love with the floor stand. I mean, it made it so much easier because I stitched Fairy Moon on a Q-snap. And yeah, I stitched so many Mirabilias, just years and years and years, just one after the other. And so today, all of that to say, today I decided I'm going to stitch a Mirabilia. I know you guys are, I'm sure some of you are very skeptical because I was just so past the point of a big pattern like that, taking months to stitch something. But you know what? I feel like I need to go back to the beginning. I need to reignite that love of stitching. So I went on 1, 2, 3 stitch and I decided on the Petal Fairy. It's an older Mirabilia, but I never stitched it. And I'm not doing a conversion. The only thing I'm doing different is instead of using, because there is a Chronic, instead of using the Chronic called for, which is Star Mauve, I am using a Lavender Petite Treasure braid because I already have it. And I already have the DMC. So all I had to order was the pattern. And there's 2 bead colors. So I ordered those. And then I have a bunch of fabric. But I decided I wanted to stitch it on Aida because that just makes it easier too. So I ordered a piece, and I didn't even know Pole Stitches, the fabric company in the UK. I didn't even know that 1, 2, 3 Stitch carried their fabric. They have Aida. So I ordered this beautiful, now Petal Fairy is done in like shades of yellow and brown for like the shading, and then her wings are in purple, and the flower is pink, I think. And I ordered this piece of Pole Stitches 14 count Aida that is like blue, purple. It's really pretty. I think it's going to be gorgeous. I can't wait to see what the Pole Stitches Aida looks like, because, I mean, it never quite looks like the picture on the website, but I was so pleased that 123 Stitch now carries their fabric, because when you order from them, it takes a minute because it's, you know, in the UK. And when I buy their stuff, I bought their fabric from Etsy. They have an Etsy shop. And I mean, they ship pretty quickly, but like I said, it takes a minute because it's coming from the UK. So, pencil dust. If you are going to get rid of pencil dust, do not swipe it with your hand because the pressure will smear it. This is a makeup brush that I bought. Isn't it so pretty though? Yeah, so Petal Fairy coming, and it should be here before the retreat, because if it is, I'm taking it. I'm going to take stitching to the retreat. I will work on Petal Fairy, and so I'm going to work on it on a Q-snap, I'm pretty sure. So I am going to bring my, my Halo Glow Light that my dad and stepmom got me for Christmas. So, yeah, because you need good light when you do stuff like that. At least I do. And with me older and my eyes and everything. Why did I do that color again? I didn't mean to do that dark color up there. It's okay. It's okay. So, yeah, going to be starting a Mirabilia. So, we'll need the support of you guys, right? Because now I was asking Jill how she stitches a Mirabilia, and she has always done hers on Q-snaps, but she does her beading at the end, because if you put a Q-snap clamp over a bead, you have a chance of breaking it. Now, I have always done my beading as I go along, because the thought of doing the beading at the end but I might do that. I also, though, because once I get past this retreat, I don't have another one until September. Oh, no, July. I'm sorry. I'm going to the New Jersey retreat in July. It depends. I might, once I get home, put the project on scroll rods, because I have a ton of those. We'll see. Because when I get home, I'll probably wind up pulling my Lowry back out and working it on there. Or I may even pull my Stitchmate out and put the project on my Stitchmate scroll rods, which I love that stitching stand so much. But yeah, we'll have to see. But I'm trying not to just get in my head about it. Just sit down and stitch. Just sit down and stitch and follow the pattern. And my way of following a Mirabilia pattern is I usually do a 10 by 10 square. That's how I stitched almost all of them. Because if I try to count too far out, I usually wind up messing up. So we'll see. I usually start in the middle. And I usually will do the bottom of a Mirabilia first, because I always like to save like the face and the hair and all of that for last. Now, I realize that stitching on Aida, there's always partial stitches in the skin, and the face. So I will have to deal with that with piercing the center of the square. Fractional stitches on Aida are possible. They're just not as easy as doing them on linen or even weave. But Aida is much easier to count and see the holes. So that made my decision as far as what fabric I wanted to use. But yeah, so it is still raining here. I hear the rain outside. So I am going to get off of here. I'm going to finish coloring this flower before I process this video probably. And I hope you guys have a good day. I hope you had a good Easter. And that you have a good week. I don't know when I will be back to do another video. But you guys got two days in a row. So that's pretty cool, right? So again, oh, someone had asked me a question, speaking of retreats, before I end. They said, have you ever been to a diamond painting retreat? And would you ever consider going to one? I have never been to exclusively a diamond painting retreat. I have brought diamond painting to retreats. I actually took diamond painting to one of the New Jersey retreats. And then I took diamond painting to 2 or 3 different Tangles retreats when I was really into diamond painting and not stitching. And it was quite enjoyable. I'm not set up now, though, to take diamond painting to a retreat because I use my Credenza. So I don't know how I would have to transfer my diamonds or bring a smaller project, like get a partial or get something from like Peggy Buy or something like that to bring something small to do. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I've never attended one that was solely cross diamond painting, but I'm sure they're amazing for those that have them out there. But okay, guys, I am going to end here. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and for all of the support that you guys always give me. I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.